topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives. I'm Debi, your certified holistic health coach. I revitalize people's lives by helping them identify the root causes of their health and mindset issues and create a custom natural holistic strategy to address them in the areas of mind, body, and soul. As a health coach, I'm not allowed to say that I heal, treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. I can certainly make your body more efficient by reducing symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and enjoy life more. Not many people have released 70 pounds, had a health transformation, and kept fit and trim for over a decade. I have, and I have stayed in power. It's been over 11 years. I even became a half marathon runner at the age of 51 when I never ran from childhood to adulthood due to food problems, and I have done 8 of them. Mindset is the key to lasting change. As a certified holistic health coach, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I guide them to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrients. My coaching is for optimizing their health, releasing weight if they need it, and enhancing their mindset. With my coaching for my clients, when it comes to mindset, I help them recognize that their emotions, thoughts, and feelings will affect their actions and results. That's what it could be a good result or it could be a bad result. That's why it's crucial to have a positive mindset in life and manage your emotions. It's also imperative to release those low vibrational energy emotions such as fear, frustration, and doubt, because they're only going to slow you down and get you stuck physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Like a hot air balloon that has ballasts, I help my clients release those emotional ballasts and baggages to uplift to a happier, healthier, better life, and in turn, they are releasing their stress and reshaping their core beliefs. You will see and feel the differences with my coaching programs. Set up a complimentary consultation button at my link tree at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChanges Lives and Victory ES.com/linktree, LINKTREE, and I'll guide you to that better, healthier life. I am no stranger to chronic pain. I've had it in the past and I found some solutions. I'm thrilled to have Yvonne Rea, a microcurrent therapy pain specialist, which I knew way back when. She is a pioneer in microtherapy and with nutritional-driven nutrition. And she is interesting how she actually has collaborated with a pain-free life beta testing group and served as a director at For Better You Too Wellness resources. And other places are Erasing Pain Holistic Center and the Theta Wellness Brain Health Center. With a background of forensic science with 15 years in military service and extensive research on bioelectrophysiology, she specializes in pain relief, inflammation reduction, and tissue regeneration. She collaborates with top organizations that are using cutting-edge technologies used by NASA and SpaceX to accelerate healing in biofeedback, PEMF, scalar, and more. Her mission is to make what unknown is known, where 85% of her clients notice a difference in just 2 sessions. We'll be discussing how to stop pain with a zap with microcurrent therapy. So let's welcome Yvonne Rea, a microtherapy pain specialist, to my show. Yvonne, welcome to my show.
Hello, Debbie. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad I met you because there's a lot of things you can share with my audience. So I'm really happy you're here. So let's start off because a lot of people probably don't understand this. What is microcurrent with biofeedback?
Okay, so that's a little bit of a mouthful, and how about I break it up just a little bit? So microcurrent, literally, they call it the future of medicine. It's non-chemical, it's non-invasive, it's safe, it's effective for pain relief, scar tissue, regenerative. It's considered advanced healing. And like you said in the introduction, this has been around a long time, like, 60 plus years. NASA, the cosmonauts, were using it, DARPA, and I understand even with SpaceX. So most chronic pain is what they call nerve fiber C. There's A, B, and C fibers. Most are considered the long term. On the C fibers, most of it is inflammation and or scar tissue. So microcurrent itself, imagine this like an EKG. If you've ever had an EKG, they stick on a bunch of leads. They're looking for the electrical efficiency from the heart to the rest of the organs and tissues and then back. Well, microcurrent with biofeedback looks at these things, these electrical blocks, because just as a reminder, we're not just chemical. We're chemical, we're spiritual, we are electrical. And if you don't think so, just, if you remember as a young kid, you'd, scoot your feet on the carpet and go zap a sibling, right?
Yeah. We can do
Or
that.
take a balloon and kind of rub it on your head, and, you can kind of see the hair standing up.
Yeah.
So those electrical blocks actually induce, they don't induce, they look for, with the feedback, the tissue that's inflamed and pained and not healing. And then it brings that information back to the devices. So again, much like an EKG, they're looking at the electric from the heart to the tissues. We're looking like from your affected shoulder or knee, or maybe it's an organ like your liver or your kidneys. So very specifically, we can look at all tissue types. Joints, tendons deep down, like I said, to the nerves, to the bone, all non-invasively.
That's interesting. Maybe I just didn't understand it it's been over 20 years, I guess, or more. Actually, a lot more. But when I had my chronic pain, I was at a pain clinic, and they had a biofeedback person that I had to see. And I didn't really quite understand because she didn't really explain anything. And I know I was recommended to use TENS units and go to therapies and all this other stuff. And eventually I did have these nerve blocks, which didn't work. I'm sorry, they just didn't work.
Yeah.
So how do you help others so they know what's going on and feel better?
Well, again, when we're talking about microcurrent, it's actually on the same electrical energy as your heartbeat or the brain wave. The biofeedback that you were receiving, it is showing information. So it's detecting an issue. Now, I don't know if it wasn't, in fact, microcurrent, that it was providing any treatment on top of it detecting the information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I had no I didn't feel better about it. It was just,
Right. Well, and it's much like we see in a, like a heart monitor, right?
mhm.
It's detecting information, recording it, and it's sending it back to a specific device. Our devices are literally in the oh boy, it's a flex computer. It's a flex computer chip, is what it is, and it's literally inside the devices. So as I am detecting with the biofeedback, I'm also actually correcting because it's helping the body not only register those electrical blocks, but then begin to break through them. And much like an EKG, going back to that, they kind of give you a graph, right?
Yes.
Ours shows up in numbers. But again, biofeedback is a type of technology. It's been around a long time, depending upon how it's being used. Most often, it's not used to detect and to treat. But Tim Smith, who was the engineer and founder of Texas Instrument, if you recognize that name.
I do. I
Yes,
do.
yeah. So he was the one that put these together. And again, has over 80 patents with NASA. Um, and many people just haven't heard about this. Now, we're very familiar with the TENS. It's been around a long time.
Yes.
Microcurrent has been around a long time also, but it was kind of kept under the radar. And then I believe there was the Information of Release Act, but ultimately it's now mainstream. It's in your hospitals. Typically, it's in sports medicine. So the average person does not get to go to sports medicine. It's the pro athlete teams, for those of us that are credentialed, they'll hire us. We're the folks that are right there on the sidelines for all games, because it's about getting them back on the field as swiftly as possible. Even the high schools, the colleges are now hiring people with our credentials, because sports is big money.
Yes, it is.
Now my background is medical, so I'm not, though I've been trained that way, I'm really trying to advocate for the other health benefits that can, come from this. And those are those, tissue specific microcurrent that we talked about before.
Yeah, obviously it was so long ago that they just didn't do it at that time because it would have succeeded with me, but I had to go for those nerve blocks, which didn't
Well,
work.
and think about this, even a TENS unit, it was not designed, it's different. They're both considered class 2 devices and they're cleared, but beyond that, they're quite a bit different. Now they both are working electrically, but a TENS unit is designed for one of two things: either to block a nerve signal from getting to the brain,
Hmm.
or it's a muscle stimulator. Many chiropractors use these in their offices. I would encourage them to update, and get themselves a microcurrent, because their clients will have far better results. And of course, then they look like the rock star, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I recently had something done by somebody that actually is a weight trainer, built muscle builder, and I have hyper reflexes. Every time she upped the machine, I jumped. And she just laughed at me because she never experienced that with anybody else. I mean, you just hit me on my knee and I'll kick the doctor in her
So you got some great responses there, huh?
yeah. So, and I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't do this because I was trying to recover from a broken foot at the time. And I said, maybe that's way too much for me at the moment. But these devices are wonderful that are out there right now. And I really wish I knew about, what you had, and probably wasn't even around at the level it's at now.
Well,
But
it was, but just not for the general public.
these,
You know,
even a pain specialist doctor would have had that.
well, and much like, when quantum physics was coming out, quantum mechanics, quantum biology, all of this really is about and just so you know, quantum, what does quantum mean? Quantum means small.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking uber small, so small.
Like nano, right?
See it, but we're working on the electrical of the body that typically is not seen with the naked eye.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So now, how is the microcurrent used with tissue conditions? You mentioned one thing.
Yeah. So let me just think about this a moment. So some may know this, some may not. In the mid 90s, there was some research done by Siskin and Walker on how frequencies can affect the body and the tissue of the body. Now, the frequencies in the ELF range, extra low frequency range, and just to clarify, there's ELF, extra low, there's low, there's, and then it starts to actually move up. The next would be radio frequency. So we're lower than that. But those are the ELFs ranges have been some of the most that have been studied. And we use these references of tissue for scarring, for inflammation. And once those two things have been identified and controlled, we can go directly to the specific tissue, tendon, ligament, joint, nerve, bone, and it's brings incredible, significant benefit to literally a multitude of conditions. You might remember, and I think in what you do in your practice with tissue is you are focusing on some of when your client comes in, you're trying to identify, is this person's does this person have a hard tissue issue,
Exactly.
a soft tissue issue? Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, digestive. Is it organ health? Is it hormonal? Each of those tissues have a specific frequency. So by using the microcurrent, you're using nutrition and trying to identify the specific tissue issue, because you and I both know there's protocols, there's literally recipes, if you would, that can help people. And most people are unaware of this. So you've got the recipes, I've got the recipes. And, have you ever had where your recipe maybe didn't help somebody with their tissue issue?
Not right away, because it takes a while with nutrition. Personally, I know that once I learned some of this stuff, when I broke my foot, I utilized certain products for my foot to help it heal. And not to say heal, but help it get better. But my whole point is, my podiatrist said, "You're healing really fast. That's where I got the heal from." I'm like, "Really?" And he said, "Oh," he was about to take me out of my boot. "Oh, I can't do that. I gotta wait."
Yeah. He's going to go with protocol, but you're actually rebuilding missing tissue. Now, with nutrition, I can do that. But on occasion, when somebody is doing just nutrition and they're still maybe not getting resolved, because none of us are 100%. But if they're not getting resolved, that's where I can come in, and then we tap into the electrical system of the body. Again, using those extra low frequency ranges But, the nutrition that you use, that's for the rebuild, because none of the devices, I have several different types of frequency devices, none of them can rebuild layer upon layer, brick and mortar, the missing tissue. What they can do, though, is begin to take burdens off the body, like the inflammation, the scarring, but it will be the nutrients that come in. And if you've got thinning tissue, it's only the nutrients, the minerals, the vitamins, the amino acids, the essential fatty acids that do that actual rebuild.
Yes, and it's really helped me not only with the recovery of my broken foot, which was only a few years ago, but it's also helped me in the past because I had a lot of foot problems, and obviously I became a half marathon runner. So it was painful for me to walk. And I switched to, started feeling better, and I switched to, easing into running, and then I became a half marathon runner. Now, I've had some clients that came to me for a different reason. And, I had a veteran who had a different reason that always was dealing with chronic pain. But I guess he just accepted it. And I'm sure your device would have helped him a lot in his journey if he even knew about it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, something didn't, there was a little skip. What was his tissue issue?
He had chronic pain.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He said, I said, do you want to do anything about that chronic pain? And he said, I think he was just dealing with it. He was just hesitant.
Yeah.
And because he had a different issue that was, overactive cell growth. and that, I had a solution to work with his treatment with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my whole point is that
yes, microcurrent likely could have been an adjunct to the nutrition, specifically microcurrent with biofeedback, because it can find those hidden inflammation, sending pain signals along the way, right? For that long-term damage, you drop the inflammation and the body can begin to handle what's going on. It's much like, with inflammation, we all have various types of cells in the body. We've got, viruses, bacterial, fungus, cancer, but as long as we're healthy, it stays at bay. If any one of those start to exacerbate tissue growth, expansion, the tissue is going to need to, if the tissue is not healthy, oftentimes all of them will include some type of inflammation. And if we can drop the inflammation, the body, if it's healthy, can usually come in and start to combat
exactly
whatever those pathogens are, right?
And everybody has, I call it noise in the system.
Oh, sure.
And if you have a lot of noise, I'm bringing down noise so that your body will feel better. And the base nutrition is so important. But what you're saying, you just take it a step further down the line to make everyone better. So that's what I love about your service.
Well, and like you said, with nutrition, it takes a while. You asked a little bit earlier, the specific tissue work. And, there's tiny electrical signals generated by the heart via sound waves. And with every cell in the body, the electrical is something like 70 times faster than chemical or hormonal signals via the nervous system and the collagen network. So, your heartbeat communicates with different cells via different frequencies. So kind of like, radio station, right? You've got the nerve cells, the muscle cells, the blood cells. They are all contracted at different frequencies.
Exactly. even bacteria has its own bacteria to communicate each other.
And yep, that's a different machine, but yes.
But they communicate with each other.
Yep.
Now, could you explain the different tissue types? It's significantly the 4 tissue types that are in the body, how they relate to chronic health conditions.
Sure. Well, let's just start, as you said, chronic. 80% of all chronic conditions fall under one of these 4 tissue types. And just as a reminder, or for those that don't know, those 4 tissue types are epithelial, connective tissue, nervous tissue, and muscle tissue. And then of those 4, they will group together, creating another type of tissue. So again, 80% of all tissue falls under one of these 4 tissue types. And so when you understand the specific, tissue issue, you can begin to address what that is. So real quick, epithelial, and you can look this up, but I'll try to be brief. That's like, internal and external organs, the linings. And then nutritionally, I can use my microcurrent on the tissues, the organs, the glands. And then, of course, nutritionally, there's very specific protocols for brain, organs, glands. And it's interesting because somewhere around 70 to 80% of all epithelial tissue is protein, amino acids, right?
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes.
So, what do they say? Protein is the building block, right?
Building block, yeah.
Yeah, connective tissue. This is the matrix, the collagen, again, a primary type of protein. But your connective tissue would be collagen production, skin, joints. And, with the microcurrent, again, we've got very specific, I could tell you the different frequencies, but I don't think it'd make people be like, huh, what? It's just a different radio station, right? But, nutritionally, outside of your key essential nutrients, some additional calcium, magnesium, those bone building, strontium, boron, those bone building or connective tissue building nutrients can truly help affect these areas. And with microcurrent, again, we're going to aim to enhance the tissue repair, reduce the inflammation. For example, someone with chronic back pain may benefit from microcurrent that targets the connective tissue to alleviate the inflammation, the scar tissue, and then again, promote, wellness, healing. Your muscle tissue, this has, there's 3 types of muscle, the skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. All of these make up fibers that are surrounded by connective tissue, binds it together. There's both voluntary and involuntary. Again, with the microcurrent, we come in and we repair the muscle. Now, some people may recognize this, and we're coming in around radio station or frequency, right around the range of 14 hertz. Remember, this is ELF, extra low frequency. So it's not the same as if you're talking about light or radio waves. And then, some of the most significant portion of muscle tissue is water. So that is a nutrient. Sometimes we forget, as well as oxygen.
I know.
But, what they say, somewhere around 70 to 80%, we are water. But the rest is proteins and fats. Mm-hmm. And the nutrients, again, for muscle will not only be proteins, but if you don't get in the vitamins, the essential vitamins and minerals, you're not going to have that same success. And then the last one, the nerve tissues, these consist of neurons and then supporting cells, and they're the ones that transmit signals, right?
Yes.
They're the communicators throughout the body. So I'm tapping in to those communicators. And it, just as a reminder, I said this earlier, we have A, B, and C nerve fibers, and like through our muscles, through everything, there's just nerve fibers running all over the place. It supports neurotransmitter functions, helps with the absorption of vitamins, minerals, fat soluble vitamins. Besides just working on nerves, we can help with brain health modes also, like many of your clients may know about the, alpha brainwave setting,
Yes.
or theta brainwave setting. That's what Tesla, or no, that was Edison. Edison would want to go into theta, and he would do it several times a day, especially if he couldn't get an answer to his question. Have you heard about that? Do you know what he did?
No, but continue saying. That's why I found it interesting.
Yeah, so he would, if he couldn't figure out, and they say this is part of theta, helps with calmness, but also creativity. And he would take a heavy ball, and lay on his couch, and before he went, closed his eyes, he would be putting his question, to thought, and try to just get himself to relax and even fall asleep. But just before he went into that lower stage of delta, which is your REM sleep,
yes,
at theta, it goes theta delta.
right.
He didn't want to go into delta. He would, as the body just kind of relaxed into delta, he would drop the ball. It'd wake him up. And he said numerous, and I don't remember the percentages. I've seen quite a few numbers of percentages, but big amounts of time, he was able to find a solution or an answer that, got him to that next piece. And so again, with our devices, we can work with the brain health. And then, as you know, nutritionally, I mean, our brain is roughly, by brain weight, it's proteins and fats, something like 85% fat lipids.
Yes.
And we're talking about those, good essential fats, right?
Exactly.
And yet we were told to stay away from fats, and no wonder our country is in the state it's.
And we were told not to eat eggs. That wasn't smart.
That's right. Thank you, because the cholesterol and the good fats are what make up like the myelin sheath. My family, we have ALS. I was told at one point for 12 years I had MS, and nutritionally, I've been able to reverse that. And they now say, I must have been misdiagnosed for 12 years.
They say that. Yeah, they do.
And like you, obviously it's clinical doses. It's not just these little, like what's written on a label.
Yeah.
But it is clinical doses. So, and I know that you're doing and supporting your clients that way too.
Yeah, I have products that will give them the base that they need, and amino acids, EFAs,
yeah,
as well as a really good range of minerals and vitamins. So, and it can be based on what kind of health they have. So
yes,
different packs for that. But since you're talking about clinical doses, everybody who has a different fingerprint of health is going to need something different. And, there might be some other things that I'm looking into just recently that I'm going to start doing, promoting as well. So now, interesting that you say about the muscle. I did lose some muscle mass due to being on a boot. Sorry. And that's what I was trying to do, is get my muscle back with this one person. But it just, that device just made me jump too much. And she said, I don't think this is going to work for you. So is your device a little different? Because, I have high reflexes. I also, I kind of bend my fingers. I don't know if you can see like that. My son could do it even more.
Right.
So
ultimately, yes, we can certainly help. The first thing I would do is, obviously take a full history, and then we'd be looking at using the microcurrent to actually try to find some areas. But muscle rebuilding, there's actually frequencies, and you've probably heard of this. There are clinics around the world that will use these devices. They're much more commercial. They're very specialized. They're typically on a different waveform. And they usually use the H wave or the square wave. The body itself is on the sinus wave, also known as sinusoidal. So like when you're having EKG, that's the waveform that they're on. But they're doing this for weight loss. They take these little pads and put them on the belly and, give you a 6-pack ab. And there are things that can help, but ultimately, yes, the two, I would always, it's biology married with technology, because I have just seen greater results like you. I started with, nutrition. And, then when I had my own health challenges, and it was these technologies that helped me come over that, proverbial hump, right?
Right.
And remember, nutrients will go to repair. And then if you've got enough in there, they'll be rebuilt. But a lot of times people don't understand, the dosage. They're just taking what it says on the label. I teach classes every week, and one of my classes is size matters.
Yes, it does. And I teach people the importance of foods as well, so they can read labels.
Yes.
So now you've done you have some clinical stories about microcurrent with biofeedback for different tissue issues you want to share really quickly?
Yes, certainly. Well, the first one I'll just talk about is during 2020, when there was a lot of coughing and deaths. I was a little baffled, like, don't people know that we can help with lung conditions? And I realized, no, they don't. So we started, I put together community classes, and we had like 99% had effective increase in their oxygen, their inspiration, their expiration of breathing, simply with just one treatment. It took us about 40 minutes. We did a full education. The treatment itself might have ran us about 40 minutes. We had 100% have increase in inspiration, expiration, and 99% had increase in their O2 saturations. And it was actually out of that I took this information to one of my docs and said, hey, is there any way we can do clinical trials? But so lungs is one of them. I also want you to recognize, when we have anything that has the word itis behind it.
Yeah, and that's inflammation.
That's a lot of conditions, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, it is.
And, pain, we do know the precursor to pain is inflammation. We've seen it on Time magazine, right? All disease, it has inflammation, and marry that with our aging. They're calling it inflammaging.
Okay.
So think about this. All disease that ends in itis refers to the inflammation of the area. So pancreatitis, tendinitis, plantar fasciitis. You know,
So you're pretty much saying that you can help with the itis.
yeah, yep, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Why don't we why don't you share your offer from the audience today? Your
Uh,
offer.
Certainly. So I offer consultations both in office and remotely online. We do a couple different surveys. And then for those that can get to my area, we either schedule appointments, rent devices, or if need be, we can get you a home device so that you can take care of you or your loved ones.
Okay.
And I believe Debbie has up my website as well as my phone number and my email.
Yeah.
So do email me. It's better@YvonneRea.com.
Yes. And just mention Debbie Changes Lives so she knows where it's coming from.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Let me know how you heard about what we're doing. And, but that would be my best complimentary. And I take some time with you to really see if we can hone in on your tissue issue. And then if this is a good fit for you.
You know, I really wish I knew you many, many years ago, way before I had my son.
Debbie,
Now,
I hear that often. I wish I knew that. And I've had people like you. They had, nerve ablations.
yeah,
And we've been able to, help resolve that pain.
yeah. Well, you have a wonderful offer. Would you like to be on my show again?
Debbie, I would really like that. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we
And if your audience would like to see me back, please, smash that like button or let her know.
yeah, because you have so much valuable information. So thank you for being on my show. And please stick around for closing remarks.
Absolutely.
Now, remember, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health, from gut issues, bone and joint issues, since we're talking about that, and hormone issues and more. Because I guide you to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrient products that actually reduce your symptoms. You'll feel better and be more reductive. And if you have a weight issue, you could possibly release weight too. It's more than a possibility. All this is going to uplift your mood. And pretty much what I do is I have you, reach out to me for a private consultation. And there you get to know me. I get to know you. You can go to the next slide. And you can find that private consultation at Debbie Changes Lives, DEBILIVE, V as in Victor, ES, and /Linktree. And this is where you get to know me. I get to know you, and I'll guide you to your optimal health. And it begins with 1 or 2 assessments. The health evaluation is where it's complimentary, where you rate your symptoms in the last 30 days in 4 categories of health. Some questions are repeated in different categories. Answer them all. You get a health score. I review it with you. And when you move forward with my services, I'll give that custom natural holistic strategy, and we'll monitor this evaluation on a monthly basis. I also have 2 different types of body scans. And I prefer to do, you can go to the next slide. I prefer to do what used to be called the Zyto Link. It's now called the Zero Link. That's the mother company of Zyto. And what it is what I love about it is I can send it remotely, internationally, and actually send one to South Africa. What it is, Vizera it's a transdermal optical imaging app that I send a link to your phone. You scan your face for 30 seconds, only looking at blood flow. And it's looking for components of energetic, functional, and emotional in different body systems and lifestyles. That emotional part is a gem, a hidden gem. And what it does is it gives you a wellness report of biomarkers out of range and products and services back into range. And what I do is I review this with you. It's quite intensive. The cost of the scan is $75. And when you move forward with any of my products or my programs, I give you a $25 discount. Also, that the ZeroLink being the transdermal optical imaging app. You can look up, it's also known as TOI, you can look up its accuracy at pubmed.gov. That's PUBMED.gov. And it will tell you how accurate it is. I can also give you a family pack of 5 scans where you can save $50. When people take the scan, they're really amazed what their body tells them in the scan. And you'll be too. So curious, get your first ones done and see what they're all talking about. Now, on the site are my programs. I have a 12-week weight release mindset coaching program where you're going to be utilizing a new you for your success. All coaching is done on Zoom. And the first one's always private to you because I'm going over your health assessments. I also give you a choice between 2 meal plans, and I give you directions on 1. I also help you give you instructions to create that new avatar of you that's going to drive you to success for your health and weight transformational journey. We'll be using that in the coaching sessions. Now, the coaching sessions, whether it's private or group, is the same. We'll be celebrating your wins, and I'll be guiding you over gaps with health and mindset tips. And of course, answer your questions. You'll become a new you. You're welcome to ask me questions at the consultation. And also, you're also welcome to watch a previous episode of Holistic Self-Love for more details on these programs. Just remember that the price has gone up. YFAST is an intermittent fasting program that gets your cells and body humming, in turn boosts your metabolism with rich, dense nutrition and high-quality essential nutrients, and exercises and recipes. Intermittent fasting does help repair your cells, bring down inflammation as well, and gives you mental clarity. Now, if you feel like you need some coaching, I do have smaller programs, 2 or 4 week programs. And at this consultation, you can ask me questions. Now, with my mindset enhancement as well as my health optimization, you can use these smaller programs, but truly that might be a longer journey, and you might want to use a larger program. And I could also create a custom program for you that is suited for your journey. Okay, so it could be shorter. Now, I also have Debi's Coaching Chest, which is a 30-minute complimentary coaching session that is in an intimate group setting, and a survey picks a topic. It could be from optimizing your health, releasing stress, how to harmonize your hormones, efficiently release weight, as well as creating a winning mindset, and that you can use throughout your journey, and that avatar board that will drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation. These meetings are on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, but you need to register for it, and that's at DebiChangesLives.com. That's DebiChangesLives, as in victory, ES.com/chats, CHTS. And you can learn what my coaching is all about. Finally, I have that, you can learn more about alternative health services, products, programs, upcoming shows, as well as promos and events, and offers and articles and blogs by subscribing to my newsletter, DebiChangesLives.com/radio TV, and all lowercase is one word. And I give you a gift, a 30-day health and mindset daily action journal where you can record your gratitude, thoughts, feelings, foods, water, nutritional supplements, exercise you've done, even track your measurements. And then you want to review it to celebrate your wins. And if you need help with your gaps, you contact me for coaching. I'm certain that you found this show educational, eye-opening, and enjoyed it. Reach out to me for my programs, products, and services, and reach out to Yvonne for her microtherapy services. Is Yvonne still here so we can have her back?
I'm here.
Okay. Do you have a closing remark?
Yeah, so just a thought for your audience. Nutrient deficiencies can exacerbate symptoms that are related to chronic conditions. So by addressing these through targeted nutrition, and then even integrating microcurrent, individuals can experience relief. And so again, just thank you so very much for, having me on. And if you're interested in either renting a device, scheduling an appointment, get connected with Debi, or I think she's got some other information up. Thank you, Debi.
You're welcome. And you can get products from me. So continue to enjoy my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives, on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where your holistic journey begins.